Hey guys, back here with Tua for another video. Update pup date time, week 28. If you are new to this channel, I do this style video every single Sunday on my Bullmastiff puppy Tua here. Just basically updating you guys on the week, any new experiences, just normal stuff like training or just behavior things with him, his size, pretty much anything you could imagine. And I basically do these just to give you guys a good log of information on what you could potentially expect if you were interested in the breed, and also for myself to look back on one day, but mainly just to kind of answer a lot of questions that I myself had going into getting one. So go ahead and check out all those update videos. Some stuff from this week, I went and continued with raw, and what I fed him this week was raw chicken breast and raw hamburger meat. And if you're new to my channel, basically what I've been doing with raw diet is I haven't gone like full 100% raw. I just kind of supplement it in with his kibble and basically use it as a topper. And he's reacted great to everything that I've thrown at him as far as raw food goes. No issues whatsoever with it, and he really seems to enjoy it and love it. So I'm going to continue doing that probably his entire life, and who knows, maybe one day I'll go full 100% raw. That would be a goal of mine, but we'll see just what happens. But right now I'm just kind of enjoying just supplementing it in with his regular food, and it's going really well. Another thing from the week is I know a lot of dogs are very reactive and very scared to loud thunderstorms or rainstorms, and we had 2 of those this week, like insane loud thunder, very high winds, heavy rain and hail pounding against the windows. And he reacted just fine to it. He slept through both of them. They were both very early in the morning, probably between like 3 and 5. And he was just fine with them. And that's probably more of a, not really a breed-specific thing. It's kind of dog to dog based on how they react to thunderstorms. Our Doberman that we had before him, Kobe, absolutely hated them. No idea why. Like I said, not really breed specific. I think it's kind of individual dog to individual dog. But Tua didn't mind it at all. Like I said, slept through both of them. So that's good that he, at least right now, isn't afraid of those kind of things. Because I know lots of dogs have a lot of issues. They make those thunder shirts. Some dogs even need to be medicated, like for thunderstorms or fireworks. So I guess we'll see how he does with fireworks when that time comes. But based on how he did with thunderstorm, I think he'll be just fine. Another thing this week is he finally outgrew the original collars that we got him when he was a puppy. His regular collar, just like he's wearing now, and then also his choker collar. So we had to get him a couple new ones this week. And the choker is a little bit big on him yet, so we're not really using that so much. But we did start using his prong collar quite a bit this week. And I know prong collars are kind of controversial and polarizing, and same with choker collars as well. But I mean, I guess so are a lot of things in the dog world. I didn't realize crates were so controversial and polarizing either until I started making these videos on YouTube here. Not really going to get into the ethics or anything on any of those, but I will just say, as an experienced dog owner, prong collars, choker collars, and I guess crates, since I brought that up, they're all fine if used correctly. Do your research. Like I said, not really going to get into it a whole lot, but they're just training tools, perfectly fine to use if used correctly. But we have been using that prong collar more often this week, and he's reacting great to it. Basically because his choker collar, like I said, it's like really big for him right now. And also, like, he walks really, really, really good with me on a leash, but with my wife, he'll tend to pull a little bit more. So we broke that out, and been great. No issues whatsoever. I've used prong collars all my life. Great tool. Go ahead and ask me any questions about them if you have any. Now we'll get into the normal stuff that we touch on every single week, starting with weight. He was 83 pounds last week, and he was 88 pounds now, just got him weighed in. So that was a big increase for him compared to how it had been going. It was like a 2 to 3 pound week for the last several weeks. I'm not exactly sure, but that growth had slowed down. So this 5 pound week is kind of out of nowhere and kind of interesting. He must have hit a growth spurt because I've even noticed this week, like I was anticipating that it was probably going to be a 5 pound week because there were several times this week where he just seemed bigger. His head is big. It's thicker. He seems taller. Just overall, he seems more muscular. So he must have hit some sort of growth spurt this week. Even his paws seem bigger. His legs seem thicker. He seems to really be filling out. So, like I said, I was almost anticipating it to be a 5, maybe even 6 pound week because he's turning into a big dog, guys. And he's about 6.5 months now. So he is a big dog. The biggest dog I've ever owned was our Doberman Kobe, and he was about 101, 102 pounds, right around there. And Tua's flirting with that right now, and he's going to be a lot bigger than Kobe was. So it's really cool to see him growing now and getting this big thick head and this big thick face and these thick joints and paws and everything. He's starting to even just feel solid. He's not feeling like that little puppy anymore. He's muscular, and so it's really cool to see him growing into that. Socialization is another thing I touch on every week. Again, I had mentioned in the video last week how hot it was. It was like almost 100 degrees every day. This week was very similar. So similar to last week, I only got him on one walk, and there really wasn't much for people out there. We did get him to the lake again, my mom's lake cabin, and she has her 2 dogs, a Corgi and a Dachshund, or a wiener dog, and he gets along great with them. He hasn't had any issues with any dogs that he's come across or people, and he just likes to play with them. The Corgi is pretty old, so he doesn't do a whole lot with him, and then the Dachshund is, I think, 2, but again, there's such a size difference, they just kind of essentially interact with each other more than they do any sort of playing, but gets along great with those dogs and every dog that he's come across. And related to socialization, I've touched on this the last few weeks, so I'm just going to mention it again. When he does get fired up, since he is such a big boy now, pushing 90 pounds, just be careful around small kids. We have 2 little kids, a 5-year-old and an almost 2-year-old, and he has knocked them down. And I'm also going to include small dogs in that this week because, like you guys know, if you're regular viewers, we have a 10-year-old miniature pinscher. She's probably 9 or 10 pounds. And when he gets fired up and wants to play with her, he can smack her with his paws, and he hasn't hurt her or anything. But if he accidentally stomped on her, he could easily break a leg or something. And even with my mom's Dachshund, same thing. Just not that they can't be around small kids and can't be around small dogs, because he is all the time. I'm just saying, be careful and watch. Don't just let them out in the yard and figure it out later when your dog comes limping back or your kid comes crying back or something because they got knocked down. Just monitor. No big deal. Another thing that we touch on every week is energy levels. Last week, and I think the week before, I said he was very up and down, but mostly down. And same thing this week. He had a day or two where it was pretty high. But for the most part, his energy's been down, and I think I mentioned it last week too. I don't know if that's heat related, because when he is going outside, it's so hot that once he comes back in, he just wants to drink his water and kind of just collapse or do some chewing like he's doing here now. Or maybe it's a trend. Maybe at this age, he's going to kind of start slowing down. You guys that own Bullmastiffs that watch this channel regularly, let me know, when did your dog start slowing down? I wouldn't anticipate that this is when he's going to kind of start slowing down. If anything, I would imagine that energy is going to kind of continue going up overall until he gets to, a year and a half, 2 years. But every dog's different, so we'll see. Drooling is something else that I touch on every week, and up to this point, every week that I've talked about it, I've said only food-related or water-related. Food-related, if he sees me cutting up his raw for several minutes and he knows his food's coming, he'll get some drips out the side of his mouth. And then, as usual, after he's drinking water, it's very stringy, still falling out of his jowls. I will say, though, that when we did take him on the one walk this week, this was the first week that I noticed a good lather around the corners of his mouth, and we actually got some stringy drool coming down off the one side. No big deal. It was one string, and when that hit the ground, that's all that it was. But that is noteworthy because that's the first time that he's drooled that has been 100% non-food related or water related. So it's about 6.5 months old was his first like true just drooling for no reason other than I'm just drooling because it was hot and he was on a walk and he was panting. So it took a long time for that to even happen. We'll see how much that increases. I'm sure it'll increase more. But drooling has been a non-issue, at least for me, with it just being food-related, water-related, and that's a big thing that people think about when they're getting bull mastiffs. Barking is the last thing that I touch on every single week with him, and that pretty much hasn't changed a whole lot from the day we brought him home. He'll bark when he's playing with other dogs or sometimes with us, and lately he's been doing a lot of, like, if he hears an unknown sound or something like that, he'll bark, but he will not bark if he can see what's going on. It seems to be if it's only like the unknown, if he hears a noise in the neighbor's yard or something, he'll maybe do a couple barks, but then he'll go kind of investigate once he sees what's going on. Then he's over it. But he's definitely not a barker where he'll just sit out in the backyard and bark at nothing for hours on end, like a lot of dog breeds. And that's not what they're known for either. Bull Mastiffs are known to be generally quiet dogs. So I would anticipate where he's at with barking now is kind of where he's going to be. And I don't think it would really change a whole lot now. Even if people come to the door and stuff, he doesn't bark at them. He just gets excited and wants to get pet. But like I've said before in other videos, we've kind of ingrained this in his brain from a very young age because with my wife doing daycare, we've left him out from pretty much the day we brought him home as parents and kids are coming in the house to begin the day and then leaving at the end of the day. So he's very used to people coming in and out through that front door, which is great because every other dog I've ever had absolutely flips out when the doorbell would ring or people would come in. So hopefully he continues to stay like that. I would assume that he will at this point, but you never know. That's pretty much everything that I touch on every week, and as usual, if there's anything else that you guys would like me to update you on every week, go ahead and let me know. Otherwise, that's it for this week 28 update. Thanks again for watching, everybody, and take care.